The Irishman. This is Martin Scorsese's latest film. It stars Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa, Robert De Niro as Frank Sheeran, and Joe Pesci. And it's a film that's been in the works for about 35 years in some shape or form. But this one is put over by Netflix and it's now up for Best Picture. And we're going to talk about that now in my next conservative take. Hi, my name is Kyle, and if you're unfamiliar with the way I do my movie reviews, please click the link above, and that will explain everything. And as always, there will be a spoiler section, so check for that to make sure that you don't get spoiled by anything that I may say. So The Irishman stars Robert De Niro as Frank Sheeran, who is a mafia hitman who comes up through the ranks as he meets Joe Pesci's character, Russell Bufalino. These two have a partnership, and Bufalino is a crime boss who has connections with Jimmy Hoffa, who is played by Al Pacino. That's the three main characters in this film. There are several auxiliary characters that you need to know about, but at the end of the day, this is seen through the eyes of Robert De Niro and his relationship to Bufalino and Jimmy Hoffa. Now, this film is based on a book called I Heard You Paint Houses, which is a reference to taking people out, murder. And that was the book that was written by Charles Brandt, which was approached to Martin Scorsese when he was looking for a project to take on. So this film carries the life of Robert De Niro's character, Frank Sheeran, who admitted in an interview that he was the one who killed Jimmy Hoffa. And so even though that story is in debate at this point, this story takes you through that happening toward the end of the film. Again, that's not really a spoiler. I would hope it's not a spoiler, but that's basically what the story is about. However, it does deal with the mafia as a whole, interpersonal relationships, and how the toll on family can have damages that are untold that you don't figure out until you're on your deathbed or toward the end of your life. And that's what we're seeing here. We see Robert De Niro at the end of his life going through his travels through his mob connections and with Jimmy Hoffa, who became really good friends of his. So I'm going to give it a 5 in my story ranking only because it's something we've seen a lot in other Martin Scorsese films and other gangster films. All of the tropes are there that you can think about. And that's the main reason, but also because the story just doesn't do much. It doesn't go in any place that you don't really expect it to. So I have to consider that. So for the category of emotional impact, I'm going to give The Irishman a 4. Mainly because I'm not moved at all, hardly. They try to do something with the relationship between De Niro and his daughter, but I'm not even feeling that. And it's not funny in any way, so there's nothing really for me to be engaged with. I just pretty much want the movie to be over, quite frankly. So for the category of intangibles, I'm going to give The Irishman a 7. Mainly because the de-aging technology is so fantastic that it doesn't take you out of the film at all. The only problem I have is sometimes you see they're de-aged, but they're walking around like they're not de-aged, if you feel what I'm talking about there. Now, another pet peeve I have on this film is that even though all the performances are really, really good, the character of Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino, just is not, doesn't do it for me. Looking at the real man and thinking of Jack Nicholson doing it, it was just a better portrayal. But aside from that, that was the main thing. Of course, the performances are going to be good. Of course, the art direction is going to be good. Of course, all the other stuff's going to be good. But what really takes this film apart from everything else is that de-aging technology, which really sets the bar for films going forward. I believe I heard that they put together a special camera just so they could do that at the scope that they want to do that for this film. This film cost a lot of money, and Netflix took on this project as a risk because they felt that this was going on for a long time and Martin Scorsese just needed some help to get it to production. And Netflix and Scorsese got this to happen, and now it's got a Best Picture nomination because of it. So as far as watchability is concerned, I'm going to give the film a 6, mainly because it's so long, but also because you have to really know what's going on in terms of the Teamsters, the Mafia, and so forth. And it doesn't really do a good job explaining any of that. It kind of assumes you know what's going on. And so that makes it a little bit harder to go through. I don't mind dialogue-driven films. It's fine, but you should at least explain it. And when you have a 3.5 hour long film, you have time to do that. So even though I give it a 6, meaning I think people should see it, if you're a fan of like De Niro, Pacino, Scorsese, mob pictures, that sort of thing, then obviously this is a film for you. So from overall rating on this film, I'm going to give it a 6. And if you like my other comparative scores to other Scorsese films, for example, I would give Goodfellas a 10. I give Casino an 8. I give The Departed a 7. So to give you a feel for where I'm at on this particular film, it is not anywhere near his best films, but it's not his worst either. So for my conservative take for The Irishman, I'm going to say give it a go. Give it a go. Now, obviously, it's a mob picture, but you know that going into it, right? You know that it's a Martin Scorsese film. So that should tell you everything you need to know. So that being said, everything else being equal, it's definitely a go. There's nothing really objectionable that's out there. I mean, there's not a thing in there that's going to say, this is a narrative agenda being pushed down your throat, because Scorsese, like many other directors, like Quentin Tarantino, they don't really do that in their films. They don't have to, because they're people who know how to make films. So for my final rating, I'm going to give The Irishman an 11.5, which translates to 2.5 stars. Not bad for me. It's not horrible, but it is a positive review. And if you want to check it out, it's on Netflix, and let me know in the comments below what you think about it. I feel that because it did so well in the Academy Awards, that people are going to want to see this thing. It was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. And so I think Martin Scorsese is definitely getting his props here. It's just, for me, just wasn't my cup of tea. But the real question is, what do you think? Did you see The Irishman? Do you want to see it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be really curious to see what you think. And if you like the content on this channel where I take culture, TV, and movies and filter it right, please click that like and subscribe button and that bell icon so that you don't miss any future content. And as always, please check out some content that I have right here.